invitations farming has gotten a quite significant change with this league. It is now easier accessible, but also yields less result in previous leagues. And that leaves us with a question, is it better or worse than before? Hey, I'm Cyclon, and that's what I want to figure out today. But not only that, I also want to figure out which the invitation is the best one between the formed, the twisted, and the Elderslayer invitation. And to top it all off, I'm also going to figure out if it's best to rush the boss as quickly as possible or to use some Sextants to juice it up a little bit more. So I'm going to run 3 of each, and as per usual, you can find a detailed overview of my drops, of the cost, of the gain, of the profit, and an expected gain per invitation run, or well, expected profit per invitation run in the description on my spreadsheet in the invitation farming tab. Everything is going to be there, the passive tree is there, the Sextants are there, and the overview is there. So if you just want quick information, there you can find everything. Alright. So what exactly is it going to be? Well, I already said 10 invitations each, 40 maps each, and we are going to get Maven's Ritz from the invitations, or well, half of it to a little bit more than half of it. And we're going to get boss sets, and we're going to use Essence and Heist to juice it up even more. We should, from Heist, we're only going to pick up Deception contracts and blueprints. We're going to pick up all blueprints, but most likely only going to sell Replica and the unusual gem blueprints. And we are going to sell them all on TFT very quickly. If you're not a big fan of TFT, that's totally understandable. Not everybody is. But in that case, I think just rushing the bosses directly and not going to bother with Heist and Essences is going to be better for you. But of course, you can also take the tiny bit extra effort and sell everything over trade. It will sell eventually, but it might take some more time. As for our maps, we want to run the maps as quickly as possible. We're going to Alk and go our maps, we're going to roll over mods that we cannot run, and we're going to prefer linear layouts. For the invitations, we want 70 or more quantity, and that should yield us the biggest amount of reward we can get out of them. The rest of our setup is going to look as following. We are going to use area contains a smuggler's cache, and your maps contain an additional essence, which also includes a chance for the essence to be already corrupted with a remnant of corruption, which is a nice additional gain. I actually didn't even mention down on my overall... I did a mistake there. Let me put it this way. I wasn't expecting to get this many remnant of corruptions, so I didn't note them down as per on my runs and on my gains, but they were quite a significant part of my gain from essences, which we will get to in a bit. But just want to mention them, you get a lot of them, they are not insignificant, do sell them, they do sell very, very well because there's a high demand from them, from people running the essence memory, so just wanted to mention that. Okay, let's take a look at the tree. We're going to keep the map sustain. I do love myself some map sustain. We can take singular focus, because we are taking the nodes to get a chance for synthesized, Elder and Shaper, and Conqueror map drops. If we would use singular focus, we cannot get those dropped. Well, we can get the Elder and the Conqueror maps dropped, but only if they're on our favorite map. So let's say, for example, we get a Conqueror map, a Baron dropped, but it's on Strat where we only have Dunes favorited. Then the Baron map is going to get converted to random currency, which isn't going to be related to the actual value of the map. So we don't want singular focus. We are going to still favorite maps that we want to favorite, but we can't guarantee only those to drop. We need every map to drop so we can get those special maps dropped. We're also going to use the keystone. I keep forgetting the name of it. I just can't remember it. It allows us to not use scarabs, which we don't want for this strategy, but it makes it more likely for league mechanics to appear. But we are blocking everything but Heist, so that means smuggler caches and essences are very more likely to appear, and also some strong boxes in between, but we're not going to find any other thing, which is actually good for this because we want to spend as little time as possible on our maps. So we're going to guarantee an essence here, we're going to guarantee a second essence with the Sextant, we're going to guarantee one smuggler's cache, we're going to use the nodes up here to get up to 7 more smuggler caches in our map, which definitely sounds very juicy because every smuggler cache after the first is more likely to drop a blueprint and contains more rogue markers, which do sell in bulk very easily. And then we're going to take all the other heist and essence nodes we can deck. We get the additional chance for the smuggler caches. We get the chance for the essence to be upgraded. We guarantee to be upgraded. We get the chance for more on the essence. We get the node that duplicates the essence if there are shriekings on it. We are getting the nodes that makes it more likely for deception contracts to drop. We get the nodes that makes the contracts more priceless and more high value contracts, and also the node that makes them more likely to be level 5. I think that does affect it, but I don't actually know. This is not a guaranteed statement, just as far as I know. We are going to take the node that makes more chance for blueprints to drop and the blueprints to be fully revealed, and then we're going to top it off with 2 very spicy nodes. We're going to add Hack to our maps. Hack has use equipment that grants him a level 15 aura, because he can only be up to level 3, so you can only give a 15 aura. But that basically means after you open your smuggler's cache, you get a free level 15 aura. And on top of that, he buffs you. He gives you attack speed, cast speed, damage, and I think even movement speed. That's a win, especially for us who want to run the map as quickly as possible. And then the other one, I think it's under the radar of many people, but gifts, or well, the improved gift of the goddess, or what's the normal name? Tribute, or well, tribute gift, improved lab access keys. However they're named, I forgot the name again. I know it's not good to forget them in a video, but whatever. Those things, if you get the gift of the goddess, that's 1.7 divines. It's a 1 in 3 to get it dropped, and with this you have a 1 in 5 chance for the trials to be improved trials, and it's definitely worth it. You just take those 3 nodes, you're going to find trials from time to time, and if they improve the trial, go in, run them very quickly. If you have a fast build, that is totally fine to run. You shouldn't spend too much time in there, and you have a chance for 2 divine drop, or about 2 divine drop, and I think that's pretty good. And the last thing I should mention on the tree is we need those Maven nodes. Don't skip on these. That's 18% quantity on our invitation. We're rolling it for 70 plus, and those nodes we are guaranteeing at least 5 crescent splinters, which is a very good rate. Now that the hubris thing, however it was called, is gone. But anyway, that's a tree. That's a Sextants. Let's take a look at the cost of this. Now, on the cost, again, one thing to keep in mind. Usually I make like a 48 runs on my testings. This is 120 maps and 30 invitations. This is still a mid-investment strategy, because we need to consider to basically divide it by 3. Instead of 22 divines, we're looking at what? 5 divines cost? I think it's 6 or 7. Yeah, I think it's 7 divines cost for 10 invitation runs. But most of this cost is the Elderslayer invitation. I get to the Elderslayer invitation later, but there is something special about it. The Formed and Twisted aren't that expensive. We are looking at only 132 cost per Shaper invitation. This means 2 Sextants, 1 invitation, and 4 maps. For the Elder, it's the same. 2 Sextants, 1 invitation, 4 maps for 117 C cost. That's not very expensive. And you are able to run this very quickly. Just the Conqueror invitation is fairly expensive. You're looking at over a divine cost per invitation run, 264 chaos for a Conqueror invitation, including the maps and the Sextants. But overall, I have made ridiculous amounts of profit with this. Just take a look at this. It took me about 8 to 10 minutes to run these maps. 8 for the Shaper and about 10 for a Conqueror or an or the Elder Guardians, because they take a bit longer. Drox's immunity phases. You have the phases between the Elder Guardians, and you then have random maps, so they are not always linear, while the Shaper are always linear. So there are some pros and cons. We get to that in a bit again. By the way, very quickly, if you enjoy these kinds of videos, I would really appreciate if you can let me know. And if there's anything I can improve on these, please let me know as well. I want to make this even better, so their information is better delivered, or maybe in a more fun way delivered to you. If there's anything I can improve, please let me know. Alright, now let's finish this. So, I made a few discoveries that I think are very important to mention. For Shaper and Elder invitations, the drop rate of the invitation is very common. I got 10 Shaper invitations and 9 Elder invitations, so you're almost guaranteed to sustain those. For the Conquerors, however, you only got a 1 in 3. I've run 40 Conqueror maps, I found 4 Elderslayer invitations. That makes it a 1 in 3 run, or 1 in 10 maps invitation drop, and it's the most expensive one. The Conquerors are already off to a bad start. They drop the divination cards, which does add some value back to it again, but they're definitely not the best looking just from the pure perspective of my results right now. The Sextants as well are really good on the Shaper ones. We spent about 210 chaos for 30 Sextants, which is enough for 120 maps. And I've made in 120 maps, I made out of 200 chaos, 170 and 190 chaos. That's absurd profit margins. Like, that's about 8 times the gain. Or more than 8 times. It's just ridiculous. Not gonna lie, I'm very happy how Essence and Heist turned out. And it both sold very quickly. The Essences I was able to bulk sell on TFT, including the Remnants and the just upgrade to Deafening, sold the Remnants and the Deafening on TFT, got 1,729 chaos. I think I sold a few the corrupted ones, so the horror insanity ones I sold manually. They sold very quickly, so definitely easy to make a profit with Essence. And Heist the same. I've spent, I think, about 10 minutes to sell all my Heist stuff. I've looked for a trade for a buyer for the contracts, for a buyer for the rogue markers, a buyer for the blueprints. But if you run this in a bigger bulk than I did, like I run 30 invitations, if you run like 50 or 100 invitations, and if you just do this for a week, you have a bigger bulk on this, and you can make your own sell post with that. That means people are going to come to you, you already have a blueprint down for your selling post, and you can ask for bulk. Because I'm going to those people, it doesn't matter the bulk I give them, I get the same price. If you can make your own post and have a bigger bulk, you can ask for more. So your potential for Heist and Essence is more than what's on mine, and that definitely makes it even juicier. As for the special maps, I have to admit so 34 chaos are for me selling them to myself, because I forgot to put Maven on them after my game crashed or I DC'd. So I haven't sold any special maps. I've gotten, I think, about 10 total back. I think it was 15 or 20 total I've got back in special map drops. So it isn't that many, but definitely you regain some, and if you run more, you can maybe keep the ones you're running and sell the others as full set, and then they will sell. I just haven't sold them yet. And as for the boss sets and the Raven's Raid, those sell super quickly. Again, they sell on TFT quickly, but you can also sell them manually, and they will sell. I've did that in previous leagues, so I know those sell manually. The Raven's Raid I actually sold manually. And somebody bought 10, another one bought the other ones for the other 6, and just instantly gone. So very quick sells on those, very big profit margins on those. I'm very happy on that. And the invitations, I was also able to resell every invitation I've got dropped for the price I've bought them. So for Elder and Shaper, very good raid. The Conqueror, sadly not so much, which I think if I would have ignored Conqueror and just went for Shaper or Elder, my profit would have been even higher. But still, with the Conqueror invitation, with the high price, the bad sustain on the Conquerors and everything, I made 5 divines an hour. And I spent about 4 hours on this running. Or, well, maybe a bit more because I took notes, I ran all of them. So maybe let's say 5 hours. That's a pretty good rate if you ask me. And if you just stretch that in a bigger quantity, there's even more to be made. But anyway, let's take a detailed look at this. What invitation is the best run? Well, I think Formed is the quickest. We're looking at about 132 chaos cost and an 86 chaos gain per invitation as a baseline. Assuming you get 19 shrieking or better essences. So I picked up screaming and better, but I only valued the shrieking and deafening, and I adjusted 1C. So that's 19 essences that I say are 1C, but are very likely 2C or more. So just I'm really trying to make this this profit is basically guaranteed to be We get about 2 contracts, 19 essences, 1 chaos, and we're going to get a lucky divine at some point. We're going to get half a Maven's Writ and 1 full set as well as 1 additional fragment for the Shaper set for this. The Shaper set for 60, the Maven's Writ for 20 chaos. It's very fast, it's linear, you're going to find all the contracts, all the smuggler caches, all the essences while running to the boss. It's very good, very quick. I really like those. It's only a 2.6 divine base profit, but again, it ignores blueprints. It ignores the actual value of essences. It ignores the sustain on the invitation. It ignores special map drops. It ignores lucky drops. There is so much more to be made. You can definitely at least double this. I can say this very confidently. I'm very confident. If you don't, please tell me. I think there's something wrong then if that's the case. Because there's surely to be made a lot more than 2.6 on this. Like, again, this is just a base one. You've seen my results with the essences. You've seen my results with the highs. There's so much more to be made if you want this. Just in a bigger bulk. Again, baseline profit 2.6, nothing to scoff at, and a lot more scalability. Or, well, a lot more to gain in this, assuming everything you get when you run this in a bigger bulk. But just as a baseline, if you just run 3 or 4, you're already making plus per run, and that's the amazing thing. You cannot lose money with this, and I love that on strategies that are guaranteed to have a baseline profit, and then the profit just shoots in the air if you run it in a bigger bulk. As for Twisted, it takes a bit longer. Their maps are random, they're not always linear, you take a bit longer per map. You also, maybe if you're using Sextant, if you want to get all the loot from the essences and smuggler caches, it's going to take a bit longer to run the map because they might not be on the road you took to the boss. So I think for the Twisted, it has the best profit margin, even if you ignore the essences and contracts, but still pay for the Sextant. So the best way to run this is that you are rushing to the boss and take all the smuggler caches and essences you find on the way. But once you kill the boss, you go to the next map or the invitation. Just get these maps done as quickly as possible, and that 3.5 divines an hour can very easily get to a 4 divines an hour or maybe even 4.5 divines an hour base profit. Again, we are ignoring blueprints, we are ignoring the value of essences, we are ignoring map sustain, we are ignoring special maps, we are ignoring invitations. There's a lot more to be made here. 3.5 divines base profit, if you can get these maps done quickly, is again a very good rate. Which leaves us with one more. The Elderslayers. And here comes the issue, and I think that's why I said it earlier. If I would have not run the Elderslayers, I could have made a lot more gain with this run than just the 5 divines I've got. The Elderslayers on a base level are losing you money. If you don't get lucky bases, if you don't run your Cyrus on your own, if you don't run the Cyrus on Uber, if you don't get good drops on Cyrus, you're going to lose money on the Elderslayer invitation. The maps are decently fast. It doesn't take much time for the bosses. They are a bit slower than Shaper, but definitely quicker than Twisted. And I mean, you also get the Atlas completion from, so you can get the Atlas invitation done. But it has the same issues as Twisted. You're going to run either the Sextants and going to ignore half of them, or you're going to not run Sextants at all. But that means, again, you're losing money per run if you don't run the bosses, if you don't get lucky drops, if you don't get run in big bulk and make profit from the bosses. Running the Elderslayer invitation means a base net loss, and I'm very unhappy about this because I really like the Elderslayer invitation. It's a lot of fun to run, the bosses aren't that hard in the map, the invitation is a bit more challenging, but just because of the bad sustain on the invitation, the high buying cost, the cheap influence bases, it's not worth it, sadly. And I cannot, good faith, as a good recommendation, I cannot recommend this, basically. If you know what you're doing, and if you know a way to make this profitable, feel free to run Elderslayers. I'm not going to stop you with this. Maybe I even helped you now with saying that it's not profitable. But as far as I've tested, I lost my money on Elderslayer invitations. And as I won 10 of that means I lost 400 chaos as a base level again. So I'm not happy with the result of this, but I'm very, very happy with the result of Twisted and Shaper. So if I have to put it on a just TLDR 2-sentence recommendation. Formed Invitation with Sextants, very fast running, very easy profit. Twisted Invitation without Sextants or with Sextants, but ignoring them after you killed the boss, very good profit. Either of those is very fine to run if your build can do them very easily, if you can run the maps very quickly, if it takes you about 8 minutes or less to run these, at least 5 divines hour profit, and potentially 6 or maybe even more. I'm not going to say an exact number on the more part, but if you run this in a bigger bulk, if you can make your own bulk prices for the essences and for the harvest part, heist part, a lot of money to be made here. Video's long enough. Hopefully it was enjoyable. And all that being said, have a wonderful day and a lot of fun for the rest of the league. Goodbye.